I'm holding court, you standing trial. Why ain't I see you round back when
I always say, God allows some fools more time to get it right. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Because I could have been lost in that. Because I
Easily,
was,
yeah.
I was in the midst of that, and it's environmental, man. When you're surrounded by that, that's why I always say it's important to have mentors.
Mm-hmm.
And you're able to see something different. Because even though in my household I was surrounded by love, but I'm an only child. I had a single mom, so it's only so much she could do. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And so we would go out and I'm responding to all this negativity and I'm perpetuating it. I'm emulating it because that's all it is. But
Mm-hmm.
if I had someone, like, I was really good at basketball. If I had someone that could paint out the possibilities for me,
Mm-hmm.
I could have went to, at least the D League bare minimum, you
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I could have maybe went to the NBA or did something like that. But, I had my first kid at 16. You know what I'm
You were not
saying?
the same?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was a father at
I was
16.
15. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about. And then I get street poison, you know what I mean? And that's all I'm seeing. And when I look back on it, it's like I get a sinking feeling.
Mm.
Like, damn, I
Mm.
could have been just like them. It was nothing for loss of life. A homie got killed or nothing to kill. You
Mm-hmm.
always prepared. I mean, literally, you're not scared of any of it. It's like, shit,
Yeah.
I get shot, I go to jail. And I went to jail at 15. That's
Mm.
the thing. I went to jail and I was actually about to get certified as an adult. I had no, you know, concept of the consequences.
Mm.
I'm literally in there like, man, whatever. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But what it was is I just couldn't see past the then.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have it was a little something in me that knew it was more for me. But
Mm.
in that moment, just the lack of maturity and the lack of foresight,
Mm.
it was like, man, I can see how it happens.
Mm.
But that, like they say, it takes a village to raise a kid. So I think sometime, but these kids, like the social media, I think that plays a big part too, because everybody want clout. Everybody want to go viral. Instead of IG, they need to get an OG. They
Mm-hmm.
need people like me and you
Yeah.
to
See, the,
talk
the
to them and
crazy
tell them
thing is
something different.
they do. They just sometimes they have just the wrong type of
Mm-hmm.
images. I mean, you know, and it's kind of a trip, but the and one thing I'd add with the whole um, political science, political climate, and the social thing is that there's come a time where scapegoating is in fashion.
Mm-hmm.
I could blame
Right.
all my ills on my father or my mother or
Mm-hmm.
whatever my upbringing is, and
Right.
everybody's going to agree with me.
Right.
And nobody's looking at themselves.
Nobody
as
accountability.
yeah, accountability.
Yeah.
It's just that there's a thing. Like me and my brother, polar opposites, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like my brother was introverted. Now, if I say, well, my father was a player, and he, was toting guns and all that type of stuff, and I wound up being a player and toting guns and stuff, I could, in
See how
social
that could
environment, I could say it's because of my father.
Right.
And everybody will accept that.
Right.
If I say I never want to tote guns and I'm not a player, I'm a one-woman man or whatever, because of my father, everybody will accept that too.
Right. Right.
Accept that too, right? So
Yeah.
everybody's going to accept my damn explanation of my
Right.
past
Right. Right.
with sight unseen.
Yeah.
And so, and then a lot of times people think that that's all the work that they have to do is assign blame.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my brother, complete opposites. Where's my excuse?
No. Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So sometimes it's you, and the things in your environment just show who you really are.
Right. Right. Right.
And stop inviting. Like, there's a whole thing that we go, well, my environment, therefore me.
Mm-hmm.
There is certain level to that where
Mm-hmm.
it plays a part, but your environment can expose who you are,
Yeah.
not create who you
Mm-hmm.
are.
Yeah, my environment can only play a part to a point. When you 13, 14, I mean, you have to be there.
Yeah.
You can't get out. But once
Think about it. If
Right.
you justified shooting that house up with that woman on the front porch,
Mm-hmm.
you could blame your environment and nobody's going to say you were wrong.
Right. But you know what?
right? But it exposed who you really were
Right.
and
Yeah.
who you were not.
Yeah.
See what
Real
I'm saying?
talk. Real talk.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the thing about it. I've always prided myself on that. I never made excuses for anything that I've ever done. I take full responsibility. Even when I went to jail at 15, I can remember my father was he was 10 minutes walking distance from me my whole time growing up, you know, and not to throw my father under the bus, you know, as you get older, you understand, you know, you judge your parents for the people they are, you know what I mean? And you just don't see mommy and daddy. Everybody got a story, you know? So, he wasn't a bad dude. He just wasn't really there like that. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, when I had went to jail, he had got me a lawyer, right? And I remember thinking for so many years, like, damn, that was solid. You know, Courtney got me a lawyer. You know what I mean? Like, he came through. But when I got older, I was kind of like, well, you know what? Maybe he wouldn't have had to get a lawyer if he had just showed up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not to throw
Right.
him under the bus, but
Yeah.
that didn't come until maturity kicked in, and I became a father myself.
Yeah.
But to your point, you know, again, and I love my old man, but he showed me in a sense what not to do, and I don't mean that disrespectfully.
I know what you mean.
My son, my father had 7 kids by 6 different women, and all of us are only children. None of us grew up together.
And then here's the thing. What was his father like?
Exactly. My grandfather was abusive. My grandfather was an alcoholic.
So in his world, he's done a damn sight better than his father.
And he told me that just
Right.
recently, within the year, we had that conversation.
Yeah. But we in our generation
Yeah.
learn that we can assign blame to our fathers because he wasn't there and everything else.
Yeah.
Their fathers weren't there.
Yeah.
But they're doing better. Like, you know what I mean? It's a trip when you start putting all the things that are
Yeah.
relative in
Yeah.
that equation. Just
Right.
like with my situation, my father had a book that had all his children's addresses in it. It was a notebook.
Wow.
He was so proud of that damn
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And it was like he thought we should have erected a statue in his honor.
Wow.
He was proud of that.
Yeah.
Like really? That's a damn low bar.
Right.
But compared to my grandfather,
Right.
that was a high bar.
Now, is you man, you hit the nail on the head, because my father literally just told me within a year ago, maybe last summer. He's like 78 now. My mother passed away in 2010, but he was saying that my grandfather was you know, he was an alcoholic. He was violent. You know, he was a little man, but he was very mean. And he said he was particularly mean to him. And my father kind of said, he said, yeah, you know, he said, that's why I really wasn't around y'all like that. He said, because I felt I had that in me, you know, where I didn't want to just be snatching y'all's ass for nothing, you know, and perpetuating what he did to me.
Yeah.
So I kind of, you know, just let y'all do y'all, because I felt like I wasn't really in a space to deal with y'all.
Very similar to me. My father, I would go visit him sometime. He was 45 minutes away from me, 55 minutes away from me. I had to go see him. You know, I'd roll up on him, and one of the times, because he was just one of these pack rats or whatever what you call it, orders. And one time I saw like wanted posters of his father.
Wow.
Like he was known as the meanest man in Louisiana.
Wow.
He was a rough cat.
So maybe that's where you get that.
That's exactly where I get it from, because my father said that to me. He's like, you're like my father, like, because he saw that violent streak and that, you know, and plus my grandfather, he says I'm built like a tiny version of my grandfather. My grandfather was like big, like he's really big. My father was 6'5".
Okay.
Like he's huge, like, you know, but my grandfather was bigger than him. And at one time he was a circus strongman.
Wow. Okay.
But he was real violent. He had a hell of a temper. My father actually, I remember my father was talking about, he used to be able to swing on my grandfather's arm. And I said, well, how old were you when you used to do that? He said, 22.
Damn.
I'm like,
them some delts for your ass.
yeah. So, So it's like, so in the lineage, my father thought he was doing pretty good.
Yeah. Right.
You know, and
Right.
whole, you know,
Same
my
with my
kids
dad.
will probably be like, they'll outdo me.